Special thanks to Patreon supporter Derek Frost Westbrook for making this video possible. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Scared12 here bringing you another Minecraft Cold War BAFTA build tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be going ahead and building the Kotlin-Class destroyer. The Kotlin-Class destroyers were Cold War era ships built for the Soviet Navy. The Russian name for this class was Project 56 Spokiny. 27 ships were built between 1955 and 1958. They were all decommissioned in the late 1980s. The Cayde class is based on the design of the Kotlins. The Chinese Leda class, which is based off the Soviet Nertrasimi class, also borrows some design concepts from the Kotlin class. The design was a smaller version of the Nertrasimi class destroyer, which was seen as being too large and expensive for economic series production, as well as too slow. Detailed design changes eliminated some of the problems seen during the trials of the Nertrasimi. A production run of 100 ships was planned, but this was curtailed because of the advent of guided missiles. 32 were ordered, but 4 ships were completed as the Cayde class. The last vessel was cancelled. 11 ships were modified for enhanced anti-submarine capabilities by adding rocket depth charge launchers. In 1962, the Soviet Navy installed a navalized version of the S-125 Neva, the SA-N-1 Goa, to a surface-to-air missile Kotlin-class destroyer, Bravi, for testing. The system used the 4K-90 or V600 missile that could engage targets at distances from 4 to 15 kilometers, or 0 to 10 miles, and altitudes of 100 to 10,000 meters or 300 to 32,800 feet. Fire control and guidance was provided by the 4R90 Yadagin radar. The system could track only one target at a time. The missiles were loaded on the dual-arm ZIF-101 launcher, with underdeck magazine storage for 16 more. The Soviet Navy would eventually retrofit 7 Kotlin-class ships to carry SAMs. These ships were known to NATO as the Kotlin SAM class. One more variant was sold to Poland, being the only Project 56 destroyer exported. Later versions of the SAM system, such as the Vlona M and the Vlona P and Vlona N, provided greater missile range and capability. So yeah, the Kotlin class here, a pretty interesting vehicle. It's basically your kind of, I would say, right after World War II kind of destroyer. And it's that cool period where they were still taking the concepts of World War II destroyers and basically trying to create them to the new age, with missiles and all that stuff becoming more and more apparent. Less anti-aircraft guns and less actual projectile-based guns were equipped on these vessels, and you can kind of see the transition happen with these ships. So it's a really cool era. I think it's probably one of my favorite areas of ships because you really kind of get a good combination of World War II type looking aesthetics and also the modern weaponry that we see today. So very fun class of ship, and a very small one in comparison to some of our bigger Soviet ships, but again, a really nice ship to add to kind of our Cold War / Modern Warfare Soviet line, and kind of further to expand this line with a nice kind of small destroyer, which is going to be perfect for providing simple escort duties for some of our bigger capital ships, even a tutorial on. Now, before we go and dive in and take a look at the ship, I do want to go and give special thanks to Patreon supporter Derek Frost Westbrook for making this tutorial possible. If you guys are interested in supporting the channel more you already do, feel free to check out my Patreon page. Link is always in my video description, where you can pledge a small amount to the channel every month, and in doing so, earn a vehicle request you're choosing. It really helps support the work I do on my channel. It's really greatly appreciated, so definitely feel free to check that out. Again, link is always in my video descriptions. With that though, let's go ahead and dive into taking a look here at the ship. So starting off with the ship here, we have the front of or bow of the ship here. We have the kind of main gun battery. I can't remember the exact size of these guns offhand, but we do have that gun battery in the front. That's their only projectile-based gunnery system, or at least main gun system, I should say. There is this secondary system right here, which does look like a gun, but again, not 100% sure, just based off some pictures. You can get some really good close pictures of that, so I'm not 100% sure, but that's located right there. You have your conning tower, all your different radar, guiding equipment, and all that stuff located here on your mast and all that. As you progress further back, we have the first funnel right here, right behind the forward mast. Continuing back, we have the kind of second mast right here. Again, nothing too crazy about that. And then we have the last funnel here on the very back. After we have that done, we have just mainly a lot of the deck, or a lot of the superstructure and all that stuff. There's also torpedoes right here as well in the mid deck. We have the SAM launcher here on the back, and just more of the superstructure that leads us to the stern of the ship. So overall, pretty simple build. Should be a pretty quick tutorial to go ahead and breeze through, but a nice ship to add to your Soviet Navy, especially if you're looking for a good Cold War vessel. This right here will definitely do that. Anyways, though, without further ado, let's go and move into the tutorial by beginning with our first layer, layer number 1. Alright guys, so moving into our first layer here, we go ahead and start off with layer 1. Now, before we get started here, I do want to mention that to build this ship, you do need to make sure you build this the correct height in the water, which is going to be very important. To make sure you build this correctly, you will want to go ahead and make sure that layer 1 here sits basically level with the water. You can see here the blue concrete blocks here are representing the water level, and that's basically where you want to start this layer. Very important. If you build it too high or too low in the water, it's going to sit really weird, so just make sure that's good to go, and we can go ahead and continue on. Now, after we have that all sorted out, we're going to go ahead and start off by placing down our red concrete block with a red stained glass pane coming off of it. We're going to go and go back from the red concrete block a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 red concrete blocks back down the center. We're going to go then place down 2 brick top slabs, and then we're going to place down a acacia wood trapdoor, as well as 2 brick walls, going back from said acacia wood trapdoor. After that's done, that's going to be our center line, and we're going to go ahead and work our way out to the sides now. We're going to count back 1, 2, and our 4th red concrete block. We're going to place down a red stained glass pane to the side. We're going to go and go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 red stained glass panes. So you're going to end on that second to last red concrete block. And over here, same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 red stained glass panes back. We're going to go ahead and grab ourselves some acacia wood fence gates. We're going to place down acacia wood fence gate on both sides, and then we're going to place down 2 end rods back from those fence gates. At this point in time, if you are on, if you're building this just kind of as a display outside of the water, you can place down skeleton skulls on these end rods. These will work pretty good for showing those props. If you are building this in the water, you cannot place down zombie heads in the water. So for that, you can use some birchwood slabs instead for an alternative. Sometimes also end rods you can't place either. So end rods you can use fence gates here as a replacement, or you can even use chains. Jeez, cannot speak. So chains will also work very well for that as well. But yeah, that right there is going to basically complete what we have there for this layer. Take a look at from above. This is what you should have for the top-down view with layer 1 complete. And with that, we'll be moving on up to our next layer, layer number 2. Moving on to our next layer, we have layer number 2. For layer 2 to begin with, we're going to place down a stone block on top of this glass pane. We're going to go ahead and go back 1, 2, 3, 4 stone blocks. So you have a total of 5. We're going to go ahead and then place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Acacia wood planks back, and then a stone block here on the very end. Once we have that done, going back up to the front, we're going to go back to our 3rd stone block. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to place down a glass pane to the side, and 1 and 2 back from that. We're going to go then take our andesite walls. We're going to place down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. So it should go all the way along the side here, all the way back to the last back to the last acacia wood plank there, and then we're going to go and then place down a light gray stainless pane there in the corner. After that, same thing will be done over here on this side as well. So we're just going to run this row all the way up to here to the front. And same thing, 3 glass panes like that going forward. And once we have that all done, that is going to conclude layer number 2 for the build. Again, taking a look at it from above, this we should have for the top-down view. With that complete, let's move on to our second layer, layer number 3. Moving on to our next layer, we have layer number 3. For layer 3 to begin with, we're going to place down a stone block on top of this block here, and then we're going to place down an item frame to both sides of that stone block. We then want to place down a crossbow in the item frame. We're going to rotate it so it faces downwards, like this on both sides. After that, we're going to place down a light gray stainless pane here going toward the front, and then going back from this stone block, if you're on Java, we'll place down a piston. If you are not on Java, instead of a piston, I would recommend probably a stone stair, with the back facing toward the front there. So that's an alternative there, but if you're on Java and you have access to commands, we'll be using a piston here. On both sides of the piston, we'll place down a skeleton skull, then a stone slab right here, and there's skeleton skull on both sides of this slab like that. We're going to go then place down a dark oak wood fence gate. That'll be right here, come off this, or on top of this stone block, and we're going to open this toward the back. And again, same thing here, piston if you're on Java. If you're not on Java, you can just use a stone full block, or maybe even a shulker box will work in this situation. Like a light gray shulker box is also an alternative. And then we're going to go ahead and then place down a skeleton skull on these 2 glass panes, like that on both sides. After that's done, we want to go ahead and then place down an andesite wall here in the center, going back from that piston. And we're going to go ahead and then place down a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stone blocks back from that. To the sides here, we're going to place down a light gray stainless pane right here. And then we also want to go ahead and grab an andesite wall and place down an andesite wall back like that. And same thing will be done over here on this side. We're going to go ahead and then place down a birchwood fence gate right here. We're going to open this toward the inside there. And we're going to go ahead and take our light gray stainless panes and then place down 2 more going back on the sides there. After that, we're going to go ahead and place down another light gray stainless pane here. We're going to go ahead and continue back from that with a light gray bed in this spot here. We're going to make sure the pillow faces toward the front, as those would be the tips of the torpedo right there. And we're going to go ahead and place down our acacia wood pressure plates to both sides. We then want to take our stone blocks. We're going to place down 1, 2, 3 stone blocks back, followed by 2 light gray stainless panes to the sides, and another skeleton skull here to both sides of that block there. This section right here, you can either place down a stone full block again, or a piston. Piston here obviously going to be the preferred method there for us Java players. And then a skeleton skull to both sides of that block. We're going to go ahead and place down 2 more stone blocks down the center, 2 light gray stainless panes to both ends. And then we're going to place down 2 pistons down the center here. Again, a skeleton skull on both sides here. And again, if you do not have access to the debug stick instead of these pistons, you can very simply just place down stone full blocks. And then a acacia wood pressure plate to both sides there. And lastly, a redstone repeater on top of this stone block. And we're going to go and separate the notches like so. We're going to leave the pistons as is for right now. We'll be going ahead and kind of expand upon those. And I'll be showing you guys exactly how we kind of convert them into the form that we would want them for the build. But we're going to go ahead and kind of add on some stuff kind of around them and above them. So I don't want to update them just yet because basically it'll just kind of be a waste of time. And you'll see why here in a few. But with that, let's move on to our next layer, layer number 4. Moving into our next layer, we have layer number 4. For layer 4 to get started with here, we're going to go ahead and place down a end rod on top of this block here. We then want to go ahead and go to this section. We're going to place down a stone cutter on top of this wall. And then coming off of it, we're going to place down a chain. We then want to place down 2 stone blocks. My bad. It's going to be a stone cutter on this stone block. And then a chain coming off like that going forward. We then want to place down 2 stone blocks back. Skeleton skull to both sides of the first stone block. And then after that, we're going to place down an iron trapdoor here to both sides. And then we're going to take our birchwood signs and wrap them around these 2 sides here for those iron trapdoors. After that's all done, we want to go ahead and place down an end rod here, followed by a light gray stainless pane. We're going to place down another end rod to both sides of that glass pane, and then a stone block right here. Going off the stone block, we're going to place down a lever. We then want to place down a stone stair on top of this block here. We're going to go ahead and place down a skeleton skull. That'll be on top of the glass panes to both sides. So just like that. And then we're going to place down another light gray stainless pane, followed by another stone block right here. We're going to go then place down an acacia wood pressure plate on top of this stone block. Then after that, a stone brick wall. And then to both sides of the stone brick walls, we're going to place down a birchwood fence gate. Coming off the middle, or the stone brick wall there in the center, we're going to place down a skeleton skull going toward the back. Also, on both sides of this stone block here, we're also going to place down a lever to both sides. And once we have that done, that's going to pretty much wrap up that layer there. Now, for us Java players, we're going to go ahead and type in the command /give space @p space Minecraft :debug _ stick. By pressing enter, you'll get this glowing stick. You can then go up to these pistons and you can go and right click them and actually basically get rid of that wood portion on top. It can really helps kind of creating like different layers there and levels throughout the entirety of the ship. And that's basically what we want to do for that. Then after we have that done, we can also go to this wall right here and we can go ahead and left click it until we figure out what direction the wall is facing to connect up to this block here. Now, it's not a complete necessary thing to do, but we can actually remove that connection and basically make the wall look like it's just a standard wall, which is really nice to kind of help improve the shape of this front area right here, so I definitely recommend doing it. At this point in time now, just be careful if you do place a block anywhere near these pistons, you will cause it to kind of act up and revert back to its normal state. One thing also I noticed is that we also want to make sure we have acacia pressure plates there on top of those walls. But with that all out of the way, that is going to conclude everything we have there for layer number 4 there. And with that, let's move on up to layer number, or actually our final layers here, which should be layers 6, 7, and 8. So with that, let's move on to our last final layers. Alright guys, moving into our next layer, we have layers 5, 6, 7, 8, and actually I think maybe 9. Actually I think it's 8, whatever. Anyways, let's move on. To begin with, we're going to go ahead and place down a skeleton skull on this middle stone block here. We're going to go ahead and place down a end rod or sorry, rather an iron bar going up from these skulls here on both sides. We then want to place down a anvil here in the center. On top of that anvil, we're going to place down a stone brick slab and then an end rod coming off that stone brick slab. If you're on Java here, we can go ahead and also kind of one-up this design up on top here by placing down a stone block like this with a space of 1 out to the sides there from the wall, or from the stone brick slab. We're going to then place down tripwire hooks on the side of those blocks, and then using our debug stick, we can left-click the tripwire hook until we get selected facing, and we can actually right-click this and actually rotate the tripwire hook around to actually connect up to the sides of that slab. Really helps kind of just improve the overall look for it. After that though, we're going to go then place down a birchwood fence gate here on top of this glass pane here, open it toward the front, and then we're going to go then place down a skeleton skull to both sides. After that, we're going to go ahead and also place down another skeleton skull here coming off toward the front. We're going to go then place down a cobweb here on top, and after that cobweb, we want to place down a stone brick, or an andesite wall, then a glass pane to both sides of the wall. After that, we're going to go and place down a fence gate on the back of this cobweb here, a end rod coming off this wall toward the front and toward the back, and then we want to very simply just place down an iron bar on top of this end rod here toward the rear. We're going to go and then grab ourselves an item frame. We're going to place down an item frame here on top of this stone block, and we're going to go and then place down an iron bar in the item frame like so. We're going to go and then place down 2 iron bars up from this fence, or this lever right here. Then this back section here, we're going to place down a andesite wall on top of this stone stair. We're going to go then place down a birchwood sign to the 2 sides here of that. And then we're going to go ahead and place down a birchwood fence gate coming off the side of the wall here facing toward the front. And we're going to have it opened up toward the wall like that. We're going to go ahead and then place down a item frame here on top of this stone block. Iron bar in the item frame. And we're going to go and just go up from the levers here with 2 iron bars to both sides. After that's all done though, that is going to wrap up my design here for the Kotlin-Class Soviet destroyer. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this tutorial and are able to put it to good use. If you do end up using this build, I do ask that you guys give me proper credit for it. This can be anything from a sign on the build link to my channel or this video if this doesn't bring social media sites. As long as you guys give me proper credit for it, you're free to use it for whatever projects you guys are working on. Overall, enjoy the build, have fun with it, and all that fun stuff. Again, a big special link to Patreon supporter Derek Frost Westbrook for making this tutorial possible. And as always, feel free to check my Patreon page. Link is always in my video description. With that though, thank you guys again so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Garrett204, and I will see you guys next time.